Hey, what's up everybody? Irish Pepper 2A here, and I want to do today's video on a breakdown of compass terminology and just some of the words that are used when, people are doing compass tutorials that, just got you scratching your head and it's like, what are they talking about? I'm having trouble, can you please put this in layman's terms? That's what we're going to do today. So immediately I want to get right into the difference between magnetic north, and when you have a map, what they call grid north. Now, every compass you'll ever purchase straight out of the box, unless there's some technology out now that I am unaware of, is going to point that needle, that red needle, is going to point towards magnetic north. Now, when people that make maps actually plot that out and survey that, they do their north and south lines, their east and west lines, and they do what's called a grid north. And there's a compensation for that, depending on where you live, what map you have for what area you're trying to navigate through. Now, if you live in the east, your magnetic north versus grid north is always going to fall west. It's going to fall to the west. It's going to fall to the left. You get all the way out on the west coast, it's the opposite. You have your grid north, your magnetic north starts to fall off to the east. It's just the way that works. Somewhere when you start to get towards the, central USA, Tennessee, Smoky Mountain area, it's almost non-existent. It's so close. Maybe you're fortunate enough to live in an area like that, maybe not. So when you have to adjust your compass to compensate for magnetic north to grid north, the fancy word they use for that is declination. You say, oh man, that declination word, that's bugging me. We're just going to call that grid north and magnetic north adjustment. It's a few more words, but they're simple. Most people have heard, but, grid north, magnetic north, adjust. So, as I said before, when you get a map, uh, if you're fortunate enough to have one, and it's a good quality map, My Topo is one that I am very fond of. Found those out, and a lot of YouTubers and well experienced people like that company. Just go to mytopo.com. You can get maps, you can customize a map on there. At any rate, at the bottom of the map that you order, you're going to have something that's going to look like that. So it's going to have a line for magnetic north and a line for grid north, and then your degree compensation in between. In my area, I just wrote it down, it's 10 degrees. 10-degree difference. As I said, your mileage may vary. That's why you have to go out and look out. You don't have to necessarily buy a map to do that. You can also go to the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Go right on to their website and you will find all the information you need. As a matter of fact, if you do it with your mobile device, you're going to get a pretty cool picture that looks just like this. And that is actually a functioning compass on your cellular device. Now, you can use that like a compass. It will rotate. And if you noticed in the screenshot there was a compensation for magnetic north, and even down below it gives you, that your phone's tracking you. Your phone tracks you all the time. Your phone knows where you are. It even has your degree, and I think it was like 10.2 or something like that. Now, if you choose to look it up on a laptop or a computer, you're going to get a calculator that more looks like this. And you noticed in that screenshot that there was places to put in your latitude and longitude. I mean, if I knew all that, I surely wouldn't be doing stuff like this. It's like who really knows the exact latitude and longitude of where you live? I mean, unless you're in the military or something like that. However, on the other side, there was a place to type in your zip code, your city, your town, whatever, and that will give you the correct adjustment that you need to make. And as a matter of fact, that's probably one of the best things to do. Is you just, like I said, you just want to go to, just do the NOAA calculator, NOAA calculator, whether it's on a laptop or a cell device, it's all going to get you in the right area. And they keep that more up to date because sometimes maps get outdated. So the other thing that I want to say is, it gets confusing. Am I supposed to be adding or subtract? Which way am I adjusting when I do this grid to magnetic adjustment? So if you have a westerly uh, magnetic adjustment, it's showing you're going to rotate your bezel counterclockwise on your compass, the exact amount of degrees, and get that lined up. We're not going to do that today. It's not a compass tutorial. This is just a word breakdown. So you want to adjust that the proper amount of degrees and get that magnetic adjustment. All right. Or in other words, how most people say, that's how you find your declination. All right. Other than that, if you're out towards the west, you're going to rotate clockwise to compensate for that. You say, oh man, I forget. And the only reason I'm saying this is because it happened to me so many times. It's like, how did that go again? How did that go again? Remember this phrase. Just remember this phrase. West is best, east is least. So west is the best. Well, I'm adding. And it's always fun to add. I like to add money to my account. I like to add things to my house. That's great. West is best. East is least. I'm subtracting. I'm taking away. So if you're ever having trouble remembering which way to go and which adjustment to make on your compass, just remember that west is best, east is least. Now, another word that I'm going to talk about that comes up a lot is the word azimuth. You'll hear everybody say that. I'm plotting an azimuth for this. Your azimuth, and sometimes they'll synonymously put that around, interchange that with the word bearing. Also, this is my bearing. This is my bearing. This is my azimuth. Okay, that's cool. I'm happy you know those terms. It is your direction of travel, plain and simple. It is your line of travel. It's your line of sight. Once you establish where you are and where you want to go, I'm right here on the map and I want to go this way. That is my direction of travel. And I'm gonna use landmarks to create a line of sight to keep me in that direction of travel. Okay, so that's azimuth broken down. So whenever you hear that, just think, man, that's the way I'm going. That's the way I want to go. Don't let those terms freak you out because it did it to me. There's a lot of people smarter than me saying, Irish, what are you doing? It's a simple stuff. Well, it confused me, for a while until I studied it a little bit more and I just put it into plain, simple language. So this is going to be the part one video of getting into and using your compass. I had a couple people comment and said when I did the unboxing, they said, that's what I need. I said, I really need it broken down and simplified. Well, as far as the two most common terms that you're going to find, that's the easiest way I can think to break them down. So, as I said, this is video one. We're going to do a future video where I'm going to show you how to set the compass up using these layman's terms. And then we're going to progress with that to actually using a professional map, a very well made map with the north and south and east and west lines that form the grids, hence grid north. You're going to form your grids and we're going to work on learning how to travel we're not navigating in these videos, we're traveling. So we're going to travel from points A to B, B to C. So guys, I hope this video helped a little bit with the terminology that will sometimes throw you off. And I hope, a few people got something out of it. With all that being said, Irish Pepper 2A, I'm going to sign off. I hope you all have a blessed day. Stay safe.